So about a month ago, this tweet went viral on Twitter talking about a now deleted post on r/relationship advice on Reddit. You can pause and read through it if you'd like, but basically it's about her perfect boyfriend of 3 years who's been getting into literal fist fights with the cook at Waffle House because he won't serve him eggs the way the boyfriend likes them. He refuses to go to any other Waffle House because it's a matter of principle. Oh, and they're getting married. Might as well be the plot for a gay rom-com. Generally, r/relationship advice is a pretty wholesome, supportive community, but like we just saw, there's some absolute gold on there too. Now, all of these stories, like the one we just saw, follow the same pattern. This person has just the perfect significant other. They're kind, they're charming, they're just oh so wonderful. Except they have this one weird quality that's obviously a deal breaker. Let's look at an example here. The girl that baked all the beans. My girlfriend baked all the beans. Now I consider to end our relations. What does I do? Hello, my girlfriend and me have done dating for 5 months. I thought, this girl is very good and became of love with her. Yet, even so, on this Monday, I come home and found she has baked all my beans. Yes, all. Oh, brother. In my cupboard, I store several bags of bean to make soft and bake on some days, to have a bit of baked bean on my dinner. Or heck, a lunch too some days. But on the Monday, I find this girlfriend baked all the beans. I say, why do you bake my beans? And she says something as, I bakes them good to save time, so I bakes them all now. I am astonished and full of dismay. I say, I can for not eat all the beans. She say she has froze many of the beans so as we can unfrozen the on a later day and eat some at a time. But if a bean is frozen unfrozed, the very good and very nice flavor of bean is gone far. A bean is best if baked fresh as a Sunday pie, not to be frozen unfroze. I told my girlfriend I am so sad at this, as to my opinion the baking of the beans and to freeze them has ruined all my beans. She say I am gone haywire by my enragement and sad manners. But I hate what she did to my beans. On the days before Monday I thought, will we marry the girlfriend? Well, it might be so. But now I am so sad she baked them beans. I am considered to end our relations and not be the boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. But is my idea wrong? Could my girlfriend make promise to not bake the beans? I do not know what doing to do and how to feel forgiving on her. What can I do on this situation? I said here, in the text I write above this. Thank you. The audacity. The audacity to bake all the beans. Yes, all. Oh, brother. I mean, how could she? She was just the perfect girl. But why does she have to bake the beans? I hates what she did to my beans. Absolute deal breaker. Okay, that last post was obviously a troll, but this next one here. My boyfriend of almost a year gets upset when I don't give him my yawns. I can't make this dude up. Yes, you absolutely can, and in all likelihood, yes, you probably did. This is Reddit. I've been with my boyfriend for almost a year, and he is honestly a perfect angel. A couple of months ago, he started doing this thing where when I yawn, he puts his mouth to my mouth and inhales the yawn that I exhale. He refers to it as me giving him my yawns. This was cute and funny the first few times. No, it wasn't. Mostly because it's just so random and silly. No, it isn't. He's trying to steal your soul through your yawns. Get away. Except it's not a joke. After a while, he started getting upset, almost offended when I would yawn and not let him take my yawn. I seriously thought he was just being silly. If I yawned and covered my mouth, turned away, he would get this hurt look on his face and ask me if I was hiding my yawn from him. You know what? Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe he's giving her a part of his soul. Bet you didn't think about that. So I've been sneezing for the last 20 minutes, but I'm back now. Wife told me she wanted to experiment. I obliged. Then she attempted to eat my feces. I read through this post, and I'll spare you from having to go through what I did, but she isn't just attempting to eat his feces. She brought it up after they did some kinky stuff. He said no, they didn't talk for a few days, and then she tried to find ways to secretly get him to poop in her mouth. But I will add, you can indeed make the dude up. Okay, so I met this guy. He's handsome. He's funny. He's nice. And he wants me to call him senpai during sex. I'll add that to the list. My husband wants to live on a boat. He knew how I felt about boats before he married me. Accidentally peed on my boss's pee-pee. Okay, now this next one is chef's kiss. My husband's career in academic philosophy is ruining our marriage. Philosophers. Just the best kind of people. My husband and I are both academics. We've been married for 3 years and been together for 6. He's an academic philosopher and I'm a physicist. He has recently expressed displeasure that I've never seriously engaged with his work. Now, I've read a bit of the classics of philosophy, which is more than enough, by the way. No one expects you to have read even that much. But my husband's work is more in what I'm told is called the continental tradition, which for context, I'm not too well versed with philosophy, but there are 2 types of philosophy, analytical and continental. Continental philosophy is interesting when not taken to an extreme, but it's skeptical of science. So you can see how that'd affect the relationship between a continental philosopher and a physicist. Physicist. So many sisses. That's a nice word to say. Unfortunately, everything he's shown me has just seemed completely insane. Here's the problem. You just said he was insane. His work apparently involves claims about physics that are just wrong, and wrong in a very embarrassing way. I love the exclamation point there. They're so wrong! My husband is an idiot, help! Now she goes on to describe how he talks to her about things like physics, and when she, a physicist, says he's wrong and that he should brush up on contemporary physics, he gets mad at her using Hegel's system to defend his beliefs. We'll get back to him in a moment. On top of that, he will repeatedly say German phrases or terms that he uses and pronounces incorrectly. I'm a native speaker. Or nonsensically. He claims to understand the language. He doesn't. And tells me that Hegel can only be understood in the original German, but he clearly can't read the language. And when I've tried to read the original texts, they make even less sense. Now you'd think that's it, you know, he's a know-it-all, he's annoying, she should still leave him, but you'd think that's it. But no. On top of this, his obsession with Hegel himself has reached the point of creepiness. At one point, he literally told me that all other work either agrees with Hegel, so it's redundant, or it disagrees with Hegel and it's wrong. He keeps a framed picture of Hegel on the nightstand in our bedroom. In fact, he even changed his phone's background from a picture of me to this same picture of Hegel. I feel like I'm competing with a 200-year-old philosopher for my husband's attention. Here's a piece of advice. Contact a lawyer. And now for the last piece of the day. My husband wants to start a restaurant for magicians, and it is tearing our family apart. I've been with my partner for 8 years. We have a 4-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. He has been the head chef of a relatively successful restaurant for 3 years now, and is the only source of income for our family, since I left my job in the charity sector to look after our children. For the past 4 or so months, he has been floating the idea of starting a restaurant for magicians with increasing seriousness and dedication. He envisions a restaurant which, unbeknownst to the general public, is littered with magical props, levitating tables, bending cutlery, and torn and restored menus, to name a few. So, unbeknownst to the public, how do you hide levitating tables from the general public? And torn and restored menus? It's a restaurant for magicians, so I can only assume the menus are restored through magic and not tape, in which case they just look normal. So, regular menus then. The meals served to customers can be requested to have particular playing cards secreted inside. Secreted? You can request your food to produce and discharge playing cards. If you ask a waiter to think of a card, he will always say the 7 of hearts. The idea here, it seems, is to allow for an environment where men on dates who are in on the scheme are able to impress their companions with seemingly spontaneous magic tricks, requiring little skill. Your whole business model relies on this easily leakable secret. And this is a restaurant for magicians. Why would they need a fake magic tricks? Also, can I just add, if you're going anywhere with anyone and that anyone is in on the scheme, maybe don't go. I should explain that my husband has never shown a remote interest in magic until around 4 months ago, when he met his friend who in this post we will call Chris. Chris is something of a magic enthusiast, and since meeting him, my husband has become encapsulated by this idea. I'm using this throwaway account because Chris is an avid Reddit user. Ah yes, a throwaway Reddit account. That'll keep him from noticing the post about a restaurant for magicians. Over the past 2 weeks, Chris has convinced my husband that he ought to quit his job and use all of our savings to start this restaurant, which would burden our family with an enormous amount of financial uncertainty. We had a huge fight about this 2 nights ago, during which I said some things that I've come to regret, insulting his restaurant idea, his cooking, and his new friend Chris. Not Chris! During this fight, my husband argued that he ought to be allowed to follow his dreams, and that his idea is good because Chris came up with it. And Chris is a magician, and magicians are smart. You know, I don't think that's necessarily true, but sure. His fixation on Chris seems to have massively clouded his judgment, and I don't believe it is possible to rely on this restaurant for magicians idea to feed our family of 4. So there you have it, folks. A man develops a hobby and over 4 months prepares to send his family of 4 into crippling financial debt. Alright, that's it for this video. Follow me on Twitter where you can vote for my next videos are gonna be and just see some quality content. Follow my Twitch, I might stream on there at some point. And while you're at it, follow my Instagram. Until next time, bye.